warm welcome to Disky Talk with Liolo. If you're tuning in for the very first time, I do ask that you please subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you've been a part of this journey, I hope you thoroughly enjoy this episode. So, on today's episode, I discuss all things MTN 8 Wafa Wafa as I have a pre-match analysis of Stellenbosch versus Kaizer Chiefs in the MTN 8 quarterfinals. So the MTN 8 does get underway this weekend as we will see then the first round of fixtures, which will be the quarterfinals. On today's episode then, I'm going to have a pre-match analysis of Stellenbosch versus Kaizer Chiefs. So when you do have a look at Stellenbosch then, with regards to how they've started within the DStv Premiership, they've had a good start so far, and we've seen that they've also introduced young players and also introduced new players to their side, and they look really, really good, especially when it comes to going forward and the types of chances that they've been creating. However, let's have a look at the personnel. So in goals then, you do have Sage Stevens, and when you do have a look at Sage Stevens, this is a goalkeeper then who is quite experienced, very good shot stopper, also very comfortable on the ball with regards to looking to build up from the back. When you have a look at his back four, as they do play with the 4-3-3, and you have a look at his back four, at left back, they do have Fawaz Bazadine. So when you look at Bazadine, this is a player who comes from Swallows, a player then who has been absolutely key for the Stellenbosch side within the first couple of fixtures, especially then when you look at what he offers Stellenbosch within the left wide channel. So offensively then, with regards to his technical ability, this is a player then who is very comfortable on the ball. So within build-up phase, he does offer you that ball progression in the left wide channel. And then when you have a look at his technical ability with regards to him occupying more advanced pockets of space in the left wide channel, he is a very good crosser of the ball. And what I do then like about Fawaz is that he's got all types of different crosses. So he's got deep crosses where he's able to play it from that pocket of space and play it into the box. He also then can hit the bar line and cut it back, and a left-sided player then who has so much game intelligence with regards to his spatial occupation. So he doesn't just look to bomb forward as a fullback, but he's able to pick his moments. And what has also stood out then is that he currently has 2 assists. That's one against Orlando Pirates and then one against Cape Town City. And those 2 assists were for Mandieta. So Mandieta does look to start off the left. So whenever then Fawaz Bazadine does look to offer that width within the left wide channel, within the opposition half, it allows Mandieta then to drift into the box. And what we have seen is that Mandieta would drift to the far post, and he's been able then to find him on 2 occasions. So it is also key to note that this episode is recorded before the Mamelodi Sundowns versus Stellenbosch game. So with regards to the performances I'm referring to, they are the league performances before that game. So Bazadine then is quite a key player for this Stellenbosch side. When you move on then right along, as the left-sided centre-back, the last time out against Cape Town City, he had Sobach, but he went off injured. So I do think that they will have Oshwin Andries. As the right-sided centre-back, you'll have De Goede, and then at right back, you then have Van Rooyen. With Van Rooyen then, very similar to Bazadine with regards to offering the width on the right-hand side for this Stellenbosch side. A player then who is very, very penetrative with regards to his offensive actions within the final third. So with regards to him then, he is a player then who does sometimes pop up into the box. So he can get you that goal, and is a player then that does look to whip those balls into the box. But what's key to note then about these 2 fullbacks is that they are quite intelligent with regards to how they look to occupy space in their advanced wide channel. So whenever the one does go, the other one would be looking to tuck in and become the third centre back. And vice versa, so that does then give them that discipline, and it also does give them that shape, especially when it comes then to their rest defense. Moving on then right along within the heart of midfield, you've got Mtetwa. Mtetwa becomes key then with regards to being able to break down opposition attacks. He is the defensive midfielder for the Stellenbosch side. He is also quite comfortable on the ball with regards to being able to take it from his centre backs, looking then to build up as well. From time to time, he does look to stretch play with that diagonal ball, but he does tend to keep it simple, and he tends to play those 5-10 meter passes into his more creative players. He looks to offer them that tactical awareness and that defensive stability within the heart of midfield, where he looks to sit deep. And then the two number 8s, you've got Gaka, and then you've got Nduli as well. But the more advanced number 8 with regards to creativity is Mgaka. With Mgaka, he is a creative player who is then looking to take that ball in between the lines. He does have those penetrative passes, and he's also very creative as well. Moving on then right along, when you do have a look then at the front three, you've got Mendieta, you've got Jayden Adams, and then you do have Van Wyk. So when you do have a look at it then with regards to this Stellenbosch side, off the left hand side you do have Mendieta. Mendieta is their playmaker. He does tend to drift in a lot of the times. He offers them positional and qualitative superiority. From a positional superiority perspective, how then you'd position himself in between the lines and within those tight pockets of space, how he's able to manipulate the ball. With regards to qualitative superiority in 1v1 situations, he is quite a skillful player, and he's also very, very creative. What we have seen with Mendieta is that he also scores goals for this Stellenbosch side. And as much as he might not be such a tall figure, but he's able then to position himself adequately within the box and be able then to get onto the end of those crosses and score headed goals as well. This is a player then who's going to become very, very key for this Stellenbosch side. Here's the key player coming up into this one. Jayden Adams then normally is an attacking midfielder, but he can occupy that false 9 role and look then to ensure that this Stellenbosch side have an extra body who can always drop into midfield, which then gives them that numerical superiority with regards to making it 4 in midfield. But we also do know that they have Judas Musiamedi, who can start up front. You've got Van Wyk, who starts off the right hand side, but he can also start up front as well. So like I did mention then, ball side fullback, what you would see then is that he would be looking to tuck in, Bazadini would be looking to tuck in, Van Rooyen would have the ball. So the offensive scheme would look somewhat like that, a 3-3-4. At times you could have one of the midfielders looking to add numbers, but most of the times it is pretty much that shape, a 3-3-4 offensive scheme. Also then when the ball is on the left hand side with Fawaz, that's what you'd see. That's the type of picture that you would see from the Stellenbosch side. With regards then to how they look to press, it does become a very narrow 4-3-3. So what you would see then is, let's just fix that. So what you would see then is them pressing with the very narrow 4-3-3. What becomes key then is the cover shadow that the front three do look to offer with regards to being able then, let's say that wide centre back has the ball there, with regards to being able to ensure that that channel and that ball into the heart of midfield is blocked off. And when you do then have a look at them, sometimes they could also go with somewhat of a 4-4-2 narrow block, where one of the midfielders will look to sort of go and join the other. So they can also press with the 2 as opposed to a narrow front 3. Another thing then that's very good about this Stellenbosch side is how tactically disciplined they are, how they manage space then whenever they do sit within a defensive block and either a low block or a mid block as well. But when you do have a look then at Kaizer Chiefs as we do move on, so when you have a look at Kaizer Chiefs, it has been quite the mixed bag, because Kaizer Chiefs then have played 5, they've lost 3, and they've won 2 as well. So when you do have a look then at Kaizer Chiefs, the last time out, they did lose 2-0 against Cape Town City. And how Kaizer Chiefs look to go about things, Coach Arthur Zwane did look to change the shape, where then they did play with a 3-4-3. So when you do have a look at it then, That's what it looked like. But because most of the game, for large periods of the game, they didn't have the ball, then what you did see then is that they would go to that deep defensive block, which would then go to a 5-2-3. At times, that can be also a 5-4-1. But when you do have a look at it then, and we have a look at the personnel, the last time out, they did start with Brandon Peterson goals as the right-sided centre-back. They did then start with Ungezane. And then as the central centre-back, they did start with Unjabulo Ngobo. As the left-sided centre-back, they started with Uzita Kwinika. So when you have a look then at a back three and where the disadvantage can be if you're coming up against a team that possesses great game intelligence and is able then to penetrate and exploit spaces, a lot of teams then are looking to ensure that they can exploit that space. That is the space then in between the wing back and then the wide centre back. That is the space then that Cape Town City were able to exploit. And Stellenbosch, very similar to Cape Town City with regards to how they look to play, how they look to penetrate, and how they look to create chances as well. Because then with Stellenbosch, the relationship that is instituted between the fullback and the winger, it is quite the very dynamic and creative relationship with regards to spatial occupation, penetration through the wide areas, and how then they would look to get those balls into the box. So that is something that will be looking to get exposed by Stellenbosch if they do come up against a back three against Kaizer Chiefs. And we did see Kaizer Chiefs struggle a lot of the times. And even then, when you do have a look at the first and the second goal, so the first goal then does come from a ball then which is played in behind, where then a half-space run was made by Mkhize. He plays it across, and the whole back three is running towards their own goal. And you do then have Gonzalez who pops up and he finishes. That was then just behind Ungezane. So he wasn't really aware then of what was happening behind him. The second goal, very similar then with the set piece from Mayo, which is whipped in. And even then, what's behind Ngezane also wasn't aware, because then that's where Fasika pops up. So when you do have a look at it, they have had their defensive problems. Even in build-up phase, they've struggled. At times, this build-up hasn't been as seamless. So the thing then also then about the two wing backs is that at times they get caught because they don't know at which time are you supposed to tuck in, and at which time then do you look to offer width, especially when you find yourself in a situation that isn't as obvious. If you're going into the opposition half and you've got the ball, it becomes obvious that the two should then be looking to go high and wide. So this is then a very complex system which requires a lot of training, and it requires the team to be well drilled with regards to the transitions with and without the ball and the shape that they would go to. Also then when you do have a look at these two players as well. But that is something that Kaizer Chiefs struggled with against Cape Town City. But when you do have a look at their back three, I would say that Unjabulo Ngobo and Ukwinika have been the better centre-backs from a defensive perspective with regards to how they look to defend their box. When you move on then right along and have a look at the two wing backs. So when you have a look at the right wing back, you do have Solomons. Off the left-hand side, Reeve Frostler started the last time, but we did see that he did go off injured. I do think that it's a hamstring. Then we saw Mashiane coming in. So you could very well have Mashiane there, and then you could have Solomons there. They become key then with regards to looking to offer you the width, especially then when you are in the opposition half. And then when you move on then right along, he did start with the double pivot of Sitebe, and he started with Nange as well. And then he had a front three of Dolly, Biliat, and Sikhota as well. So with regards to Kaizer Chiefs' offensive scheme, that's what it looked like against Cape Town City. But they didn't find joy. They struggled to create chances consistently as well. And when you have a look at it then, within the double pivot, even here, they did struggle because it was a two-man midfield playing against a three-man midfield. And very similar then with Stellenbosch, they play with a three-man midfield. If they do go with the false nine of Jayden Adams, he will tend to drop into midfield. And then you're looking at numerical superiority with a 4 versus 2, at times a 3 versus 2 within the heart of midfield. So that is what Kaizer Chiefs would look like if they were to go then with a 3-4-3. And with Keegan Keegan Dolly, then he is looking then to offer you that half space occupation. How then he looks to take the ball in between the lines and offer that creativity. And then you do have Sikhota, who I think in the past couple of performances, he's been, he's offered a lot of creativity and a lot of speed for this Kaizer Chiefs side, especially on the left-hand side. And then you also have Billiat as well. But when you do have a look at this Kaizer Chiefs side, they've been very inconsistent, and key players such as Dolly, Billiat, haven't really been consistent, with regards to how their season has started. They haven't really been performing to the best of their abilities for this Kaizer Chiefs side. However, I think then there could be a possibility that they could switch to a back four. But what would that look like? Because if they do switch to a back four, it does then give them numbers within the heart of midfield where then they can go to a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1 and ensure that they're able to match Stellenbosch within the heart of midfield. So if they do switch then to a back four, then I think the best possible options, if they do switch to a back four, then is having Solomons at right back, Njabulo Ngobo, Kwiniga, and then you've got Mashiane. So when you do have a look then at their double pivot, they could then have Sitebe, and then they could have Blom as well. So what becomes key then within the heart of midfield, especially for this Kaizer Chiefs side, is that they've lacked that tactical awareness and that defensive stability within the center of the pitch. So they've lacked a defensive midfielder who can just sit in front of the two center backs. At times, look to drop deep to collect in between, which I think is quite key, because if they do have a designated sitter, it does allow Sitebe then to go box to box, and then you could have either Mato or you could have Nkosimpile Ngobo. But I do feel like that Kaizer Chiefs are in desperate need of Nkosimpile Ngobo to start from the very beginning, because when you do have a look at Nkosimpile Ngobo, this is a very, very special player with regards to what he offers you when it comes to the final third. So when you have a look at him, then there's various qualities and aspects that he does offer this Kaizer Chiefs side. So firstly then, it is a progressive pass. So this is a player then who can find that defense splitting pass, which is quite progressive. Even within consolidation phase, he can take you from one phase into the other by playing those progressive passes. Secondly is shots at goal from range. That's what he has, and he's also scored goals from range as well. Thirdly, he does also create big chances for this Kaizer Chiefs side. So mostly when he does come on, he does look to offer those penetrative passes and those balls where then he is able to create those big chances. Also, whenever then Kaizer Chiefs do play against a low block, if there is a player who looks better suited with regards to trying to shift that low block or trying to penetrate that low block, either with the pass or with the run, or how then he looks to position himself in between the lines, it would be Nkosimpile Ngobo. And then up front, you would have Sikhota coming off the left, you would have Billiat there, and then you would have Keegan Dolly there. So that is what Kaizer Chiefs then would potentially look like, especially then when they do come up against Stellenbosch, if they were to switch to a back four and play a 4-3-3. And their offensive scheme then with a back four would slightly change, because what you would see then is ball side fullback and Solomons would be looking to offer the width, and then you'd see somewhat of that where then it is a 3-3-4, and the left back would be looking then to tuck in. So that is far side fullback who would be looking to tuck in and make it a back three. That then would be the offensive scheme, or you could even tuck into the midfield there where it can be a 2-3-5, where Nkosimpile Ngobo can look to creep in. So that is Kaizer Chiefs then with regards to their offensive scheme. Also, we do know that Kaizer Chiefs do look to press high, but what would that look like? So if they are looking then to press within a back four, what you would see then is that, very similar to Stellenbosch, they would be looking to press with a very narrow 4-3-3 as well. They could also press with the two, where then one midfielder, most likely Nkosimpile Ngobo, would have to come out and join Billiat with regards to looking to press the Stellenbosch side. If they were then to change their shape and continue with the 3-4-3, what would that look like? So how then they would be looking to press, let's just leave Solomons there at the centre back. Let's go 2 there. So what you would see then in a 4-3-3, that's what you would see. So it would look somewhat of a 5-2-3 in a sense. At times it can be sort of a 5-4-1, but you'd have sort of these two inside forwards / number 10s looking then to occupy pockets of space closer then to obviously the defenders who are looking to build up. And then even here then with regards to how they look to press, for example, If he goes in press and they come across, the cover shadow becomes key with regards to looking to ensure that they can't play that pass into the heart of midfield. But because of how Kaizer Chiefs really struggled against Cape Town City, I don't see them playing a 3-4-3. I do see Coach Arthur Zwane switching back to a back four. However, when you do have a look at this game, it will be a very interesting game with regards to the quality then that Stellenbosch do have, and with regards to how Stellenbosch have also gelled and been able to impose themselves. When you do look at Kaizer Chiefs, they've really struggled then to impose themselves, and they haven't had the best of performances. However, how I see this one playing out, I do foresee Stellenbosch looking then to advance to the semi-finals of the MTN 8. However, at home, do let me know, what do you make of this encounter where Stellenbosch take on Kaizer Chiefs within the MTN 8 quarterfinal? Who do you think then are the key players for Stellenbosch? Who do you think are the key players for Kaizer Chiefs? And who do you think then will advance to the MTN 8 final? So thank you very much for tuning in to yet another special episode of Diski Talk with Luyolo. It is MTN 8 quarterfinal, Wafa Wafa, signing out.